Hello everybody, this is your Torador's Extended Warranty, and, oh boy. Not a video I actually wanted to make. Actually, there are oftentimes not very many videos I want to make. A lot of times I end up just covering things because I think that they have a general importance that is absolutely necessary to cover, broadly speaking, and... Sorry, I'm adjusting sounds because my headphones are dumb. A lot of the times, what will happen is I will address topics broadly speaking because I find them to be important to talk about, rather than something that is just something that interests me. One of my earlier videos that I did with targeting YouTubers, specifically talking about applications like GrayJ, is something that both interests me and something that I find to be extremely important. And uh, my throat is just not happy with me today. Fuck. But basically, it is 100% the case where um, I really do just want to cover things that I find to be interesting, and maybe even become a VTuber that does gaming. I do admit that maybe I want to make a career out of this, at least to some degree. Maybe do collabs with people who I think are cool in the VTubing sphere or outside of it. I frankly have no desire to be famous, though. Like, if I could take the money and the interesting people, having conversations with interesting people part of being famous and just get rid of the fame part, I would do it. Speaking of fame, this topic is going to be really dumb. And I just This is a problem that I find with modern politics, and it is something that is deeply infuriating to me, broadly speaking. When it comes to people who, like, see themselves as in the middle or on the right, or people who would otherwise, like, view themselves as being on the right, I just, I get so irritated because when it comes to people on the right, the standard that they're held to is kind of stupid. And there's an expectation that they're going to be perfect all the time. Whereas if you're on the left, if you are one of the priests of the leftist like cult, you can do whatever the fuck you want to as long as you don't improperly touch their sacred cows. And even then, sometimes you can, depending on what the narrative for the day is. When it comes to moderates, however, that lean more in the middle, like even if they're slightly left in the middle or slightly right, and even conservatives, there's this broad, dumb expectation that you have to be absolutely perfect. Like I've talked to people in servers, and they're gonna like criticize me for this, and so be it. I care about them as friends; they know I do. But I think this whole mentality of, oh, well, they're a woman, so they're stupid. Or, oh, well, they're not conservative enough, so they're stupid. And I'm like, okay, look, you're not making any friends this way. You're also not going to make any headway. And then I had got into an argument with somebody, and I think he's a good guy. I really do. He is Christian, and that's fine. I used to be Christian a long time ago. I haven't been for a long time, but I still respect the faith. And one of the things that I will say that I deeply disagree with them on is the fact that their mentality is the only argument that matters when it comes to figuring out where somebody leans is strictly and only abortion. And I'm like, I don't agree with you because there's so many other things that exist that can be talked about where there are other things that have moral standing that can be addressed, like the fact that kids can't consent, or can't, ta 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 ta, cannot consent. The fact that we shouldn't be giving cross-sex hormones to children. The fact that we shouldn't be inundating children into things that they do not fully grasp or understand. Theft is bad, murder is bad, communism is bad. There's a lot of things that morally we could talk about. But one of the discussions we got into is that he was like, "Oh, well, women whenever they have kids become conservative." And I'm like, "No. No, that's no." Because if that were true, there would be no such thing as a liberal mother. And his argument may very well be that, oh, well, most women become more conservative whenever they have kids. And I'm like, okay, sure, in some cases. But I wouldn't even argue most cases, because there are a lot of individuals out there who they have kids and they don't leave their values behind. They're just, Munchausen by proxy is one good example. There's also the example of, oh, well, now I'm just going to virtue signal using my kid as my proxy, which isn't necessarily Munchausen by proxy, but isn't good. But this isn't me a video ragging on him, because I think he's a chill guy. I enjoy chatting with him. Nope, this video is unfortunately about this drama BS. Mostly because I just get so fed up with the double standards between left and right. Like, I've admitted this over a dozen times, and I will say it as often as I have to. Broadly speaking, after taking several political spectrum tests, I lean just left of center libertarian, and small L libertarian, like 2 rungs down, 3 rungs over from the middle. And the reason that this entire situation just pisses me off to no end is because Jeremy from the Quartering is an individual who I don't think that his content is broadly bad. I think he has a problem with alcohol. I think that he has to turn everything into a joke. I think that he has to take and diffuse literally everything as best he can to make it so that he is in control of it. And I think that that is a very bad thing. And more than that, it makes the right overall look bad. And you're like, well, if you're left, why do you care about the right? It's like, because both sides should get along. And the extremes on both sides need to go to the wayside, in my general opinion. Because being far left and being far right are not conducive to a functional society. Society should go forward using moderates as a baseline. And I understand that there are a lot of people who will argue with me saying, well, you can't do that because X, Y, Z. And sure, we can have that discussion, we can have that debate. It doesn't mean I'm going to agree with you. I think a society run by moderates, who are intelligent moderates, who are actually fine enforcing law because it's necessary, would be a functioning society. Although realistically, that would be still more a conservative society. Not the weird world we live in where one side of the aisle makes excuses for every single person let out of jail, and they can continue to rape and steal and beat people to death, nearly to death, and just do whatever the fuck they want to because of what they look like. And it's like, you realize you're making people hateful by not prosecuting these individuals, right? But they don't understand, or they don't care, or they do understand and they don't care and they want that, which is a possibility as well. The reason that this entire situation, and the reason I'm looking at side scrollers' coverage of this, isn't because other people haven't covered this. One, I want to take a jab at the host of side scrollers here, because I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what Melanie Mack did or said during her podcast interview with Chrissy Mayer on Chrissy Mayer's podcast. It is 100% plausible, and I could do more research, but I'm going to be a dumbass about it. And I'm going to say one of two things just to nitpick. The head of Side Scrollers here basically said that Chrissy Mayer had the ability to bring on somebody from Kino Casino because people were harassing Chrissy for having Melanie on. Melanie is tangentially related to the situation because she is a side host of Jeremy on one of his podcasts. And I don't know if Chrissy dove into the drama at all, or if she covered anything about Jeremy at all. But one of the what is his name? I don't remember the guy who does the head guy in Side Scrollers. He's like, well, I think that it was poor decision making to not have Kino Casino on. And my first thought was, okay, hold on. If Chrissy didn't talk about the drama, and she didn't bring on Melanie to specifically talk about the drama, she has no obligation to bring on somebody from a different podcast just so she can dive into the drama. I feel like that is kind of stupid as a prospect. It's like, okay, sure, but why should she have to dive headfirst into the drama if she wasn't involved? Now, like I said before, I didn't actually look into this which I do try to look into most things, but I just kind of wanted to talk about this and get it out of the way, this whole topic, because it's stupid. Jeremy had the option to not be a gross alcoholic dumbass, and he chose to be a gross alcoholic dumbass. Which brings me to, we can continue talking about Chrissy here, but the other option side of that before I continue that statement is basically just going to finish that previous point saying, if Chrissy talked about the drama and she involved herself, sure, I can understand the standpoint of, oh, maybe you should have brought on the Kino Casino guys to talk about what happened. But if she didn't talk about the drama, she didn't bury herself in it, then what's the necessity for her to bring Kino Casino on other than people who are purity testing everyone purely because of Jeremy? Yeah, Jeremy's doing stupid crap. I 100% agree with that. I'm not going to defend him because you don't go after someone's livelihood. If they're breaking the law and they're actively breaking TOS, you bring it up to YouTube. But the fact that the videos that Kino Casino made got flagged, and I'm pretty sure that they weren't breaking TOS or breaking the law, that was messed up and he shouldn't have done it. I have bones to pick with people like Andy Worski because I think that there are times when they've gone off the deep end and they've decided to be utterly freaking stupid. Having said that, however, I do not side with general cancel culture. Going after people's sponsors when they haven't done anything functionally wrong is bad. And what do I mean when I say functionally wrong? Okay, let me explain the difference between cancel culture and holding somebody to account. If you have a partner who is shown on your Twitch, your YouTube, your X account, and all these other places, you are very publicly involved with someone. And that someone is talking about how you should go out and shoot people, or how you should go out and kill conservatives, or maybe how, you're literally ad hominem slander, libel, etc., etc., etc. And they go after you, and it is a dogpiling harassment campaign type thing. In cases like that, you're not canceling someone. You're holding them to account with their company. It's like, hey, you're employing a person who is literally supposed to be a representative of your company. And you're like, well, why is it a separation between left and right? The right can do bad things too. Yes, I am aware of that. But there is a difference between a hate mob descending upon somebody because they don't have the views on gay or trans people that you do, versus advocating for the death of another human being. Those are drastically different things. But also, there's a difference between voting with your wallet and causing a company panic. So, in the case of, and I'll try to make this short because I'm side tangenting or tangenting right now. Jesus, I can't say that word. Effectively, there is a difference between accountability and canceling. Canceling is when you post on a public forum website specifically with the intention of having a bunch of people dogpile the company that this person is a part of or any partners that they have so that they intentionally distance themselves from them. Accountability is when you say, hey, I am not advocating for anyone to go and do anything about this, and I explicitly don't want people to go and do anything about this. However, this instance is something that has happened. I don't particularly like this. I don't want my viewers to go out of their way to go do anything about this person or otherwise. I strictly am separating my partnership or my advocation for this group or otherwise for X, Y, and Z reason. This is entirely my decision. I hold no, this company is allowed to do whatever they want to, but going forward, I feel like it is ethical to part ways. Simple. And a lot of people are going to bring up the whole game or like gamer subs thing or GG, not Game Fuel, freaking I don't even remember, whatever freaking it wasn't gamer subs, whatever freaking company it was that separated ties with Rev Says Desu and Darling Straub over a petty stupid thing dealing with ICE. ICE is a federal agency. They killed 56 people under President Barack Obama, and you know who cared? Absolutely none of the liberals who are shitting themselves about it now. So yeah, but regardless of that point, um, people were basically saying, how dare you platform this individual? I'm going to take me and my entire audience with me, and you'll never see me again. And how dare they work with a bigoted Nazi? And it's like, okay, first of all, Rev isn't a Nazi. Rev is conservative, but he's not even that conservative. Like, he is loosely conservative based off of some of the things I've personally heard him say. Like, and that's just, yeah, no, he's really like he is a milk toast conservative, as it were. And I'm not saying that to insult him by any metrics. No, I think that that's fine. I think he's a moderate. Like, his girlfriend actually might be more conservative than he is, but I'm not positive about that either. But the point of that being, of that entire tangent being, what Jeremy did was cancel culture. He targeted people's livelihoods with intention through Facebook, or not through Facebook, sorry, through YouTube, through Rumble, and basically he has just been shooting himself in the foot over and over. Every time he makes a bridge, he burns it. He's been on with Tim Pool, and I think he's been on twice. And he made fun of Tim Pool using an image of Tim Pool with Jack Murphy's beard. For those of you that don't know, Jack Murphy was a guy claiming to be a person who helps men kind of like achieve a more masculine overtone, as it were. in their own lives. But the man was a cuck. And from a very moderate to conservative standpoint, there is nothing masculine about being a cuck. It's actually very demasculating, or demasculating, um, which is part of what makes a cuck a cuck, is they want to be, you know, or is it demasculated, emasculated? My words are not functioning properly right now. I apologize. They like being humiliated. There's nothing masculine about enjoying being humiliated. Let me put it like that. Um, so we have the Chrissy incident, and then there's Sydney. Sydney is a girl who has just she's been through it. Elijah, she had to deal with a guy named Elijah, who she was on a podcast with, and she was friends with his wife, and then he decided to be an awful human being, but he's like, ha ha, I'm right wing. It's like, no, you're red pill posing as right wing, like old school red pill posing as right wing. You're not conservative. And it's like, sure, I think that there should be a broad understanding of what conservative is, and I hate purity tests, but every single time I see a person who claims that they're a conservative, I'm like, you're really not, though. I know conservatives, and they don't do and say the things that you do and say. It's okay to be a moderate. Just call yourself a moderate. Stop saying, oh, I'm right wing. Oh, I'm a conservative. Oh, I'm a Republican. No, you're fucking not. Most of you are not. That say you are. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. This false identification bullshit for grifting purposes is really stupid. Like getting belligerently drunk, going to Ren fairs, and hitting on single moms, or maybe not even single moms, while you're married. There is zero conservative about that. There is zero family oriented about that. You have the option, had the option for several years now, 7 to 10 years now, to literally turn yourself into, or make a industry where you can step away from it and just run it from the back, in good faith, mind you, and just keep the good faith that you earned over the years, but you just kept burning bridges. Like, I've seen a couple of videos where I'm just like, what are you talking about, Jeremy? And then there was the whole like YouTube Shorts crap where he goes, look guys, what do you have to say about this? And then they play an entire another video, or he plays an entire another video that he has zero input on. It's like, motherfucker, that's not fair use. You are literally stealing from people. Like, I am pro React videos because I think React content actually is fine to a broad extent, unless you're doing crap like Hassan used to do, where his reaction to a video would be literally starting it, walking out of his room, letting his chair sit there, and then coming back significantly later and be like, okay guys, what I miss? Like after the video or several videos were already over. That's not fair use. And Jeremy was effectively doing the exact same thing with the YouTube shorts. And here's the thing, like, I don't want to have to, like, really hate Jeremy here, but he just won't stop. He just keeps shooting himself in the foot over and over and over. Dude, you're on nubs. You've shot your foot so many times at this point. You're on nubs. Why? But to kind of get to the broader point of why I bring him up specifically, it's the fact that I just get super frustrated with all of this crap. I deal with people all the time. It's like, oh, well, this person's not left enough for me. This person's not right enough for me. This person's not Christian enough for me. And it's like, why does everything in the world feel like it has to be a purity test? We build no bridges that way, and society does not function on burnt bridges. I mean, actually, if we're talking about bridges, there is one bridge that's probably fine to burn, and Kirsha would know specifically what bridge that is. Heh. Anyways, that's like one of the only bridges I want burned at this point, and I want that one, like, burned to cinders. No pun. No pun. Regardless, I'm so tired of this purity test crap. I'm so tired of cancel culture. I'm just so sick of all of this. The purity testing needs to stop. People need to be fine being moderates. Or just left of center, just right of center. And it's like, oh, well, why are you putting people in boxes? I don't want to put people in boxes. People oftentimes put themselves in boxes. I am just a small L libertarian that is slightly left of center. That is a broad range there. But I was also raised with a conservative family, and I have some conservative values that I believe in. Because I understand the difference between what being a conservative is and what the left believes being a conservative is. But regardless, this video has gone on long enough. I think that the whole Jeremy situation is stupid. I think that he has been a garbage human being based off of all of the things that have come out about him. He's had the option to just stop, and he hasn't. He's being an entitled brat, and from what I've heard about how he's treated Sydney Watson and how he has targeted creators just in general, like Bearing, I just think that it's stupid. It's literally a, why aren't you siding with me? I thought that we had a cordial relationship. And it's like, when you do something stupid, people who you would consider friends should call you out for being stupid. You got banned from a Ren fair for drunkenly, creepily hitting on women while you have a wife. You need to stop making videos. You need to go to marriage counseling. You need to get things straight with your wife. And if you want to do a news podcast like twice a week to just update people on stuff that you think is interesting, by all means. But you desperately need to step away from everything and get your life in order and maybe go to an AA meeting. And stop drinking. And again, also, don't just stop drinking. Stop being creepy with women. Like, if it's women that you're friends with, and that's the dynamic y'all have, fine. But you definitely did not have that relationship with Sydney. And after she had already dealt with all of the crap she had dealt with from Elijah. Like, dude, that's scumbag behavior. She gets out of one situation and you put her in another one? Brother, that's disgusting. Just disgusting and sad. Regardless, this has been your Torador's extended warranty. We really just need to stop with this gaslighting, this purity test bullshit, and frankly speaking, this attacking everyone who's not perfect enough. But we also need to do that while holding people who deserve it accountable. And this is one of those instances where somebody needs to be held accountable. Over and out.